All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Adams Brothers podcast. This is our first podcast after the Thanksgiving holiday. We haven't been on since Thanksgiving Eve, and we are joined here this evening with Miss Karen Shelly. Miss Karen Shelly is a candidate for City Commissioner in District 3 here in the beautiful city of Deerfield Beach. So we'd like to welcome Miss Karen Shelly to the Adams Brothers podcast. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. We have talked to you many times out in public. You were on our podcast when we broadcast it live from the grand opening of the Johnny L. Tigner Center. And you came on and you spoke to us, and we just love talking to you every time. You know, you're just such a pleasure to talk to. And I did ask you on that podcast, would you be interested in running for commissioner? And here you are. So Karen Shelly, go ahead and introduce yourself first of all, and tell us a little bit about Karen Shelly, who is a candidate for District 3 Commission.
Well, thank you. First of all, yeah, you said the quiet parts out loud during that podcast. You kind of pushed me off the ledge because I knew what I was going to do, but I was going to wait until after the election to start doing it. So the general election. But yeah, my name's Karen Shelly, and I'm living in Century Village. I'm a Century Village resident since 2019. I actually rented and then I purchased here. It's an interesting place in Century Village. I grew up in Broward, Northeast Broward, and went to Pompano High during the time Century Village was being constructed. So, you know, I don't know where all that time went, but now I'm one of them, right? Yeah. But so I grew up, I graduated Pompano in 73. It was a difficult time. Uh-oh. Did it go?
Yeah, your camera went off.
Your camera went off.
Sorry. I don't know.
We can hear you.
Okay, well, I will just go on, and then I think I have another camera. Anyway, so it was during the time when Ely was shut down when I went to middle school. And that was a devastating blow to Pompano because it divided a high school up into three different schools at a time when you don't want to, you know, when are you more close is when you're in high school and that. And so it was a difficult time for the kids that came from Ely, and it was a difficult time for us. And we weathered through it, and I think it made us stronger, although it was, it was looking at good things that came from bad, right? Yes. And I'm looking for my camera while I'm doing this, but you can't see me, so that's okay.
Well, take your time. Take your time.
I made many good friends there, friends that are still friends today, and we really bonded as a class, I think, because of the adversity, right? So I grew up, I ended up working for the state legislature for a number of years. I worked for the Florida Department of Revenue for Tom Herndon. I worked for the Department of Insurance. It's now called the Office of Insurance Regulation. All this time I raised a family. I have 2 sons. I raised a granddaughter. And that's my life. And then in about 2008, I decided I was going to be a condo manager. I worked for Gary Polikoff as his legal assistant for a while. I managed condos and HOAs. I started my own condo or community association management firm. And I loved it. I loved it for a long time. And then I got tired of it and I started teaching. I started teaching for the pre-licensure course for community association managers. So that's my bio at a glance, right? But throughout all that time, I volunteered. I volunteered since I was 16, well, as a kid with my grandmother walking door to door for candidates. But at Pompano, I volunteered at Charles Drew Elementary one summer, tutoring kids. And it just, that's what you do, right? Public service is what you do. You volunteer, you do what you can. And I've been involved in many different organizations as a volunteer. I was the president of Broward Now. I was a board member of Gwen Cherry Women's Political Caucus. I was a youth leader at my church, West Hollywood United Methodist Church, and a delegate to our annual conference, which if you want to know politics, you go to a Methodist conference because that is very political. I was a member of the Jacksonville Community Council's 16-week reducing murder study when I lived in Jacksonville, which was a wonderful thing and something I wish we could bring down here. The entire city got, well, this was Duval and Jacksonville are the same, right? So the city is the county. It was a group of all types of people that got together for 16 weeks to discuss the murder problem in Jacksonville. Incredible. You got input from everybody. So I've seen how it works when everybody puts their ideas together. I was also a member of the Tiger Trails Festival. I forgot about that. 1996. That was so fun. That was, I don't know if that was the first one, but it was one of the early ones. So I've been involved in the community just because I just like it. It's fun to do it. You're making a difference, meeting incredible people. But the reason to run was I got here, I bought the pickleball outfit. I was going to play pickleball, ride the bicycle, and I'm just not that person. And so I decided to get involved in Deerfield. And I went outside. I looked at the Historical Society and all the different organizations going on and everything going on in Deerfield Beach. And the more I learned, and then going to commission meetings, the more I got dissatisfied with our government as it is. Because I think they have it backwards here. So this is just I know this is an intro, but now you got me started. But I think they have it backwards. The government is for the people. It's not the opposite. We're not there for them to put money in the bank so they can spend it the way they want or build what they want. No, it's the opposite. We are there for, we are the people. They are there for us. Very much like a condo or HOA, right? An HOA and condo. Yes. You have the members, they vote for the board. And the board looks out in the best interest of the association. That's what we are. We're just bigger. So, So I still don't know where my camera is. It's too bad because I thought my hair looked good tonight, but that's okay.
Yeah, we have people in the audience, and they'd like to see your face. So if you want to take a few minutes, take a minute or so to try to get your camera going there.
We'll stand by.
We know something. Yeah, we'll stand by.
Yeah, Miss to the people comment, and Miss Shelly's camera went off, and she's trying to get
her camera
back on right now. Right. So hopefully she can get it back up here in a few.
She'll come back on, and we'll let her. She's backstage right now, and we'll bring her back on stage here in a minute or so, as soon as she get her camera going again. So we apologize. She's having a little technical difficulties. We all have those. Yeah. We have them here at in the Adams Brothers Podcast Studio. So and if you're just joining us, we're here live with Miss Karen Shelly. She is a candidate for the District 3 Commissioner in Deerfield Beach. She is running, I believe the other one that's running is Daniel Shineski. We had him on about 2 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. About 3 weeks ago.
Mr. Shineski, and I believe it may be one more. Maybe somebody else that's going to join the race. We hear, but until they join the race, we don't. These are the only two candidates that we know of right now.
Yeah. And that area encompasses Central Village, I believe some parts. There she go right there. We'll let her back in studio. That area encompasses parts of where Publix on Military and other parts.
There you go.
Okay, I have. You know what? I'm going to
leave. She's having a little problem with her camera.
Yeah, but that area encompasses parts of past 10th Street, some area, I believe, of the water, not the water, maybe the waterways, some areas like Crystal Heights in that area. So that is the area that Miss Shelly would be representing if elected as the District 3 Commissioner. We're going to have all the candidates back on here again right before the election. We already had Mr. Dan Hertz. We had Mr. Todd Drosky. We had them, and we had Mr. Daniel Shineski. We're hoping that we can get some of the candidates on from District 4. So if anyone can get us in touch with, because I don't know no one out there who's running, but if someone can get us some of their information or get our information to them, that would be greatly appreciated. We would love for the residents of Deerfield Beach to see who's running, and that is a seat that's gonna be left vacant by the
Incumbent.
mayor. Yes, the incumbent, Mr. Todd Drosky. Yes,
Yes, he's running for mayor.
Yes, him and Dan Hertz, they're running for mayor.
And back again. Let's bring her back from backstage here and bring her on to the screen here. So there you go.
Okay, so I'm very sorry. And you will note that one of the things I did not include about my background was tech support.
Well, you did
welcome,
good.
Welcome back. We all have those technical
That's right.
problems.
We have them a lot.
Don't even worry about it. So what happened there? You left us again.
Well, I think we should just go without, and I'll just keep trying. I don't know what is going on.
You might have a short in your cord. That's what I think it kind of seems like.
Well, that was the internal camera.
Okay.
And now I'm playing.
Yeah, you may want to do your external camera.
Yes, I was saying we're going to have all the candidates back on, and hopefully we can get some of the candidates that's running in District 4 on our podcast here soon, because we like for the people to know who's running in those areas that the incumbent Vice Mayor Todd Drosky represents right now. I have no idea who's running. I saw some of their names one time. Hopefully we can get them on.
Oh, there she is again. Let's see if we get. There you go.
Okay.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
I'm not going to do anything. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So when we had you, you were giving us a little introduction about yourself, and the people could hear you. They just couldn't see you.
Right.
And, we had one of the people, people that's watching out there. They wanted to see your face, so there she is. She's back. And if you wanted to continue on what you were saying, I don't know if you were finished with your little on your bio. Yeah. So all right. Well. Thank you for that. We know you had a little problem with your camera. So my first question would be to you if you're elected to the commission in District 3, what are some of the improvements that you'd like to see out in District 3?
In District 3?
Yes.
Well, as you know, District 3, the largest amount of residents or neighbors are within Century Village. However, there's a lot to the south that was previously unincorporated Broward. We used to think of it as Pompano when we go swimming in those lakes. And there are a lot of families there. So it's a very diverse district, right? We have frail elderly. We have seniors that could run, track miles around without stopping, active seniors. And then we have a lot of families. And so it really is a balance within our community. What I would like to see outside the community, I'll start there. I have felt and I have heard, once I started asking, it's been confirmed that the areas south of this district, south of Century Village, don't feel they're part of this district. They're almost like a stepchild, if you will, or an afterthought. And I think that's something that's, if you do the numbers and you want to play politics, you look at the numbers and say, you don't need to go out there. You don't need to go out there. You need to go in Century Village, and this is who you need to hit, what doors you need to hit. And then you win. But to me, I think you can make a difference, especially in a city race, without doing that conventional, only cherry pick the super voters. I'm going to do that. Of course I am. But I think those neighbors need to be listened to more. So
You're talking about Crystal Lake, the Crystal Lake area?
That whole area, yes, outside of Century Village. I feel their voice has not been heard. So I'd like to know what they think we can do. They've done some improvements down there, but we have a lot of shared concerns. Of course, Mount Trashmore, everybody talks about Monarch Hill. I haven't heard too many people within Century Village all that concerned. We had less than a dozen on the bus go down for that hearing. So even though I think it's a very serious issue, I haven't felt that in Century Village. But when you see those families there and those kids that are living there, riding bikes, breathing the air, that has to be an issue. That has to be an issue, whether, the numbers game says, oh, I shouldn't make it an issue. It is an issue. Public health is an issue. That's what we need to do here. What we need to do here is pretty much the same we need to do all around town or in every town, right? Safe streets, clean air, good schools, listening to the people in the community to see what they need. I've heard people that have water turned off with no notice and things, you go to the commission, you hear a lot of complaints. Now, I think one of the reasons is because there's very other opportunities for people to just come and talk about things. So by the time they go to a commission meeting, they've had it up to here. So I think that's another thing people in my district, not only my district, though, want. They want to have more involvement on the creation, on the making of the rules, making the decisions, and pushing that up to the commission to decide where to go with that. More input. So of course, public safety is a biggie, even inside Century Village. Transportation, we have a bus that comes, a county bus, the 48, that comes right into Century Village 6 days a week. It doesn't run on Sunday. Well, what about the caregivers that rely on that bus to come to Century Village to take care of somebody that can't even get out of bed? What about those caregivers? And what about we have a high number of people in Century Village that don't have cars. We can walk to Tri-Rail. I mean, we're in such a wonderful location. But if they rely on public transportation, that bus does not run in Century Village after 7 p.m., but on Sunday it doesn't run at all. And so I don't know if I know that's a county bus, but I don't know if that's something the city can do. Maybe it's city in partnership with Century Village, with our master management. But we need some type of transportation inside Century Village for people that work to come in here, and then they would need transportation out. So that's probably not an easy fix because you're talking multi-jurisdictions, but I don't think it's going to be that hard to do it. Really, I think it's communication. I'm not thinking they're going to run a city bus here, but certainly we have shuttles between master management and the city that could accommodate workers. What are some of the other issues? And again, a lot of the issues here in Century Village we take care of on our own, right? So we have master management that takes care of our infrastructure, the roads, the lights, the water. And then we have Sen Club that does the fun stuff, right? The shows and that type of thing. So in a way, we're insulated from some of the issues in the city. I do know something that is of concern to both the leadership here as well as the owners is the building department. I feel that we need to seriously, and this is one of my understatements, seriously look at bringing permitting and code enforcement in-house. I think when somebody works for a government, at least when I worked for a government, I was so proud. I felt like I was part of something. It's part of something bigger that helped people. And I'm not saying that I don't know that they don't have good employees with the firm that's carrying out this work now. I'm just saying it's a little bit different when it's a city government, when you work for a government to do it. And I look at that. Seriously, look at that. So I think that would be one thing. I'm trying to differentiate between citywide and within my district, which is what you asked.
Well,
you can go citywide too.
You can go citywide.
What are some of the problems
you don't have to
citywide you would like to change?
Right.
Then I can put my notes down.
Yes.
I would like to see microloans for small businesses. That is one thing. It's in our strategic plan, and very little money was paid out. I think just a little bit during COVID. We need microloans for small businesses in Deerfield Beach, and that would affect my district as well, because there are a lot of people my age that don't like pickleball too, so they may want to do their own small business. But let alone all the families out there. It's a wonderful untapped opportunity as far as I'm concerned. Another thing I'm very concerned about is tourist development taxes, paying taxes on short-term rentals. The city of Deerfield Beach has one definition, and the Broward County Tourist Development Tax has another definition. If we could have our definition mirror theirs, we would better be able to collect taxes on short-term rentals. In my building alone, there are thousands and thousands of tax dollars that go uncollected because of unregistered short-term landlords. And so if we had our language that's in Deerfield mirrored with that of the Broward County Tourist Development Tax, it would be much easier to enforce. And I don't know about you, but I pay my taxes. And I did have an Airbnb before. And you know what? I paid my taxes there, and I paid my bed tax. So we have people coming here and they're enjoying South Florida, which, and I keep hearing about all the tax dollars. Well, not if you're renting your place out a couple times a year and not paying your state tax, your county tax, or who knows what other tax. Not gonna make me popular here at the pool, but it's not right. It's not right. And I think Century Village has been protected from that, shielded from that. And I think Deerfield too. So that would be something I'd want to look into. Maybe I'm going to learn something more and understand why it's this way. But right now, I don't see any reason for it not to be the same wording, so it's easier to enforce for all of us.
That makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
I think we need a big picture on this city. I've seen all these different. We met about the downtown area. Now we're meeting about all these little areas, and we need a citywide charrette. We need the people to put the ideas into this pot, and then we can focus on these different areas. But first, let's have a big picture that not just the people in that one little area, although they should be considered. You don't put a 16-story building, and I know they weren't talking 16, but you don't put a huge building in front of residential areas, but have a citywide view of it, and then narrow down into each different initiative that we might do. And that would help us identify initiatives and identify priorities, because again, it's the people that should have the ideas that percolate up. And of course, ideas come from above also, but we live here. When I was at that hearing last week, and I zoomed in, to hear the people talk about the impact that development that they talked about on US 1, that rental community would have on them, it was obvious that there was no, I know they said they had meetings with, blah, blah, blah. But, you can have a meeting just to say you had a meeting, or you can have a meeting because you want to pull that out of people. How can we make it better? What can we do that would make it better for you? And they don't do that. It's top down in this city. And that's something that really got me going, is the condescension, the way they talk down at people. They don't agree right from the, you go to the podium, and if they don't like you, then, you get chastised after you sit down. Well, blah, blah. The people need to have more input, and it needs to be listened, and they need to be listened to.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like if you have a kid and you want to shove a piece of pie in their face, they're not going to want to eat it. But if you talk to them about it, you know what I mean? Nobody wants anything imposed on them. Yeah. And we have made changes here just in the time I've been looking that are very narrow focused, without any big picture, and not even consulting the community ahead of time. So of course people feel upset about it.
Right.
Now we live here. Why didn't you even ask us first before it reached this point?
Right. And I watched that meeting too, not to cut you off. I watched that meeting, and a lot of people are concerned because, the height of the building and the people that's behind in the neighborhood west of that, between the cemetery and where that building is going. But and you also have to look at the live local law. Because these developers they could basically come in here and pretty much do what they want because of what the governor signed the live local law, the Live Local Act, and it pretty much says that you can build and go as high as you want, and the city has little control. They have a little wiggle room, but not much.
Well, I understand that. I understand that, but I think the developer's threat to go live local if this isn't approved, I don't like that. That's not right.
That gives them that power.
It's a hideous thing. It's like right on the road. You're going to come into Boca and see this cookie cutter. I think even again, if they had talked to the residents ahead of time, maybe people wouldn't have liked it, but maybe more of a setback. I work near Port Everglades, and I've started driving Andrews and the back roads, and I'm going around counting the number of buildings. When I see something that looks cool, how many floors on that, And I mean, just if they had options rather than just have something, this is it, it's been through the ringer, it's been rubber stamped, or whatever was done, it's taken years, and they have reduced the number of units over the years from their original proposal. But that's just an example of, I think, even if the residents would not have liked it, if they had been brought in and genuinely consulted on the front end, like that dog park, whose great idea was that? Okay. I think it was like an appeasement to them, and it ended up being a stupid idea. So things like that, again, if enough people are involved on the front end, a lot of these things are going to percolate up. Well, maybe we don't want to do it that way, or, rather than have this is the plan and then start whittling away at it.
And that's been a thing for a while here,
for a long time.
And over there with the new building that's planning on going up, it's been that way here in this district. They have secret meetings, and certain people only know about this information and that information, and they share it with the people in their little circles. It's been going on in District 3 for a while.
I don't think he mean the city governments, because everything is public there.
Right, everything is public, but just within the community.
Within the community,
there's always been some little secret meetings, and that's one of the reasons why we're here to stop that.
Okay, and I'm already on the show, so I can say this. I love your show. So I didn't say it to get on, but I love that it's a local show, and it does bring local issues, and it's part of what connects the community, right? Because you're up here, and again, another unique Deerfield thing. But no, I just think it's the way Deerfield is. I think to a degree we're almost inbred in Deerfield Beach. We could be the Whitakers of city government. We need to bring a manager in from the outside. We need somebody with fresh vision, fresh eyes. We've got former people that's got their relatives working here, and some aren't doing that great a job. And if somebody's doing a good job, I don't think a relationship should be a problem. But when it's just a holding pattern for them, that's not right. We need people from the outside to come in and give us different ideas. And that's not a negative to Deerfield. That's in any community. Otherwise you stagnate and you're like inbreeding, it doesn't work.
Yeah. So you don't believe that, anyone that's acting right now should be the city manager? You believe that the next city manager should be someone from the outside, to be very clear?
So strongly, and it is nothing against Mr. Brimlow or Mr. McHugh. I don't know if you remember, I pushed hard for McHugh to get that hard in the newspaper and spoke about it. And again, I'm not going to say what went on behind the scenes there. I don't know it. I don't even want to think about it. You know what? I don't want to know that. All I know is I feel strongly. You look at the city of Fort Lauderdale that's looking for a city manager. You know what they do? They have public meetings. What do you want in a city manager? We don't even know. It's crickets. It's crickets. They've gone to several different places to advertise for this. Now, what about this? The people that are interested in Fort Lauderdale, wouldn't it be cool if they also, hey, let me see if I can talk to Deerfield? They're coming down here for interviews anyway, but we don't know what's going on because it's all behind the scenes. And I criticize that. And again, just like I said previously, they could be doing the best job in the world, but who knows? Because we don't know. We're the mushrooms, I
remember years ago that they had a public meeting when they interviewed for the city manager's position. I believe Michael Mahaney was one of them, and
so that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but they had that, and I think that that they should kind of look at bringing that back so the taxpayers here could see who these city managers are, and and have some input into it.
It's like a meet and greet, I believe.
It was like a it was like a meet and greet.
Meet and greet. Who of the candidates actually?
It was actually they were interviewing for the job.
Actually, I think I remember that.
And Mike Mahaney actually was he was chosen city manager right after that. It was somebody else that they tried to bring in, but he refused the job. I think it was somebody from Riviera Beach, wasn't it?
It was a long. I know. It was a long time ago.
It was a city manager. I believe he was trying to come from Riviera Beach or somewhere, but Michael Mahaney was chosen back in those days.
Yeah, that had to be around 2006. 7.
We were still working with the city of Deerfield at the time, so that's how.
Well, and that's the thing. There are a lot of people whose jobs depend on the, I won't call it old boy system, but the system we have now. And there's also something called the Peter principle. And that is where you succeed until you reach your level of incompetence. And I'm not naming names, but there are some people in leadership in the city that have reached that level. And we need either new people above them, or they need to go to some kind of training or something. I don't know. I just think we have some of the leaders we have in government, unelected leaders, they've reached their level of incompetence, and we need to look at that. But everybody's so interconnected that nobody wants to let go of anybody else. And bring in a new city manager. That will take care of that, because that person will independently evaluate everyone and know how best to use them in our government.
Yeah, and one of my questions, Miss Shelly, was lately we had problems with the pier, kind of touching on what you're talking about, what you were just talking about. We had problems at the pier. We had problems with the drainage work that was being done. Just, you kind of said it just now. You kind of gave me the answer. If a situation like that arises, you as a commissioner, how would you handle a situation like that with a department head or someone in a leadership position? I know the manager dishes out all the punishment or whatever disciplinary action. You can't do it. But how would you as a commissioner go to the city manager to handle something basically what I just asked you and something you were talking about just prior to that?
Well, first of all, one of the things I have seen is it looks like a lot of commissioners come to the meeting and they're looking at the agenda for the first time. So I don't intend to look at the agenda for the first time when I sit down up there. I think as things are the drainage problem, that was flabbergasting to me, because when the citizens finally rose up, which we should do, and complained about the hazards, everyone up there except Bernie, who's not going anywhere anymore, complained and said, oh yes, I saw that. That was a problem. And I'm thinking, get us into a lawsuit. Admit that the whole city commission has been aware of these hazards and nothing was done about it. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So I would be involved, because okay, thank God for Social Security, because I know this is a part-time job, but I could see where it could be like take up your whole life. But yes. I do have the luxury of being able to go to different meetings and seeing things and ask questions on the front end, not as a commissioner even, just listening, learning, asking questions, as the people should be doing. The drainage, all the cost overruns, there's no excuse. There is
peer overruns, the peer cost overruns, yeah.
Yeah, what the pier, the Tigner Center, and Braithwaite. Well, and what we hear is, well, we did that because the people wanted it. Well, guess what? If you had done it on the front end, you would have known what the people wanted, and it wouldn't have cost millions of dollars more. And it's just, and again, it seems like I keep going back to the problem being, it's not ground up in what we need and involved in things. It's after the fact, when enough people complain, what can we do to make you happy? And that's very ineffective. And it's really a buzzkill for this city, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. We have a couple of questions in the comment section as well. We have a question back to earlier. Let me jump back just a little bit. LaWanda Pack said, you mentioned your involvement with the Tiger Trail Festival. Was that with Rick Green?
Oh yeah, Rick Green was on that. Yes, Ed Phillips was in charge of it, and Rick Green was there too. Right.
Okay.
I've forgotten that. Yeah,
that question was from LaWanda Pack, and
it's another question from the Ocean Pearl Motel, and it asks that who would you feel would make the best mayor of Deerfield Beach between Mr. Hertz, Mr. Drosky, and Mr. Stevens? And I know that's
okay. I can answer that.
Okay.
This race is about me. I have no opinion on any other race.
Thank you. Right. Okay.
That's a good answer. So,
and we just wanted to ask you because it was in the chat there. You could go back, you could see it. So,
and I've told him that before also, Mr. Ocean Pearl.
Okay. Right. Okay. And I just wanted to ask you, since you gauged something earlier on security and the police, and I just wanted to ask you, what measures would you implement to ensure the safety and security of our citizens here in Deerfield Beach? And you talked earlier about this panel of something you was on in Jacksonville. But yeah, the question, what measures would you implement to ensure the safety and security of our citizens here in Deerfield Beach?
Well, I'll tell you, that would be a good idea to have something like that, so we get a citywide view and we each know the problems in other neighborhoods. I remember you brought something, I don't know if it was one of your podcasts, I think it was, where you mentioned about locking a park at night and how that was it wasn't good for the neighborhood. And, it upset people because other parks are not locked at night. Again, community involvement. If ahead of time somebody had done enough to know why we're doing it, to give up an explanation rather than, well, I don't know whatever resolved with that, but that's a local issue. It seemed like a local issue that people were concerned about drugs or whatever sold in the park. So we need to know what each community is going through. In Century Village, it's very different. It's more theft or, well, we do have a lot of assaults, but I think that's probably against, no, I was going to kid, against board of directors of condos, but no, not really. But yeah, so every community has different issues regarding crime. And I think if we came together with a study like that, a crime study, where people, all different people, law enforcement, elected officials, every person in the community that would want to be involved in it, you know, because it's a commitment, it's work. We would have and we'd have greater empathy for our neighbors also. I can walk out my door at 4 a.m. in Century Village, and the only thing I look for is if I have a doggy bag. I don't have to worry about anybody walking behind me. I lived in Boca, right across from Sanborn Park, where the homeless lived, and for the most part, they were wonderful, by the way. But once in a while, there'd be some new person in town that would kind of creep me out here. So we don't have that problem, but other people do. You can't walk everywhere, you know.
Yeah. And also, I wanted to ask you, Miss Shelly, over the last few years, it has been, you had a lot of people wanted the taxpayers to get relief from the millage rate, with the millage rate going down. And then you had a lot of people wanted to continue to put more money in the reserves. How do you feel about giving the taxpayers back some money from savings like in the millage rate?
So I don't know the issue as well as I would should I be voting on it. But my initial thought is giving people back money. There may be a better way. Maybe we lower the millage rate, but then use that money to help. So I'm not as quick to say give people back money, because usually it's such a small amount to the people. But if it's not given back, it can accomplish bigger things. But again, until you're in the weeds, really dig it in there, I can't tell you what I would do, honestly. But I do think we definitely can lower the millage rate. The little bit I've seen with the budget going through the workshops, again, you know, I've only gone to the workshops and I can see problems. You know, I've worked with condo budgets, the House appropriation budget when I work for the rules chairman, and I'm no budget guru. You know, face it, the heavy lifting is done by our employees, not by the commissioners. You know, they are the people that do the work. But definitely there's ways to lower that and to cut costs.
Okay. As we all know, we all watch the news. We watch TV, and one of the major headlines in the last 6 days has been the targeted and planned murder of the United Health CEO, Brian, I believe his name is Brian Thompson.
I think so, yes.
Brian Thompson. He was murdered in Manhattan, New York City. And today they announced that they arrested a suspect. He has not been charged yet, but he is he's being held for questioning and gun charges and everything. But to everyone, this appears to be we think that most of us think that it's a disgruntled person who's had a run-in with the CEO or had a claim that was denied by United Health. And we're seeing this over and over and over again. Even here in this city, like with the health insurance that we have right now, Cigna, and we thank God that we do have health insurance. Being former employees here ourselves, where we're not knocking the insurance that we have. You know, we thank God that we have health insurance. But over the past few years, couple of years, 2 to 3 years, we've been having trouble with Cigna. You know, you go in and you have your yearly physical done, and then when you go back 6 months later, you find out that they no longer taking our insurance, and then you have to go find all of these doctors and, you know, find new doctors, and you got to start all over again, and it's just been so much back and forth here these last few years, and we've been getting a lot of calls on it. ourselves here over here at our podcast, and people see that sees us out in public. So I mean, and I said all of that to say this: if you're elected commissioner of District 3, would you be in favor of taking a look at other options, like maybe Blue Cross, because we had Blue Cross and Blue Shield before, and we never had any problems out of Blue Cross and Blue Shield? But would you be in favor of giving the city manager direction to look at other options for health insurance? Because if we're paying just about the same price, we may as well go with a better provider. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are, I don't think I can't imagine anyone would have to encourage a city manager to look at the options each year. Maybe, I don't know. So I don't know that would even need, maybe we don't know, but with insurance, I can tell you, as somebody who now has Medicare, same thing. So I don't know if that's the nature of the beast nowadays, or if it's something that they could have gotten you a better deal, a better company. So I don't know the answer there. I know that insurance changes every year. I just signed up for United. I hope that's not a bad sign, but because my company was no longer going to write in Florida or do that plan. So of course I would encourage the city manager to look into it, but it almost would surprise me if that person would not. And then the other thing I would do is have a meeting of city employees, maybe at the high school or somewhere, and have somebody from the insurance company come and answer questions, because insurance is another language. It's very effective in condos. Nobody likes the condo insurance, and they still don't like it. But if the agent themselves comes in and explains and answers questions, I think that would be valuable.
Right.
Okay. And how do you feel, Miss Shelly, about the height restrictions here in Deerfield Beach? And would you be in favor or against any changing of the city charter?
I kind of see that as two questions.
Yes.
Okay. I love the height restrictions here. Oh my gosh. Again, I've lived in Boca, Lighthouse Point, Pompano. You come into Deerfield and you're back in Florida. And I'm sorry, Pompano, I feel like I have mixed loyalty, but Pompano, Boca, it's like you're in a cement cavern or canyon when you drive into those towns. The high rises on the ocean in Pompano are obscene. Boca, I took a side street to go to church once and a couple months ago, and I got lost, didn't even identify the street that I had lived on. There has been so many changes. So I think that is, in addition to the people, because it's like living with a big family here. Every event I go to is like a family. The height I'm happy where we are. I think it's good. Now, listen, if the people all vote against something else, I'm one vote, right? I'm one opinion and one vote. But I think that is that's why we are who we are, is because of those height restrictions. Yes.
Yeah. And would you be in favor of changing the city charter to even make the height restrictions higher, or just any other thing in the charter? Would you be in favor of changing it for the betterment of Deerfield Beach?
Or do you think it needs to be looked at every few years?
Do you think it needs to be looked at? Which we do look at it supposedly every 10 years.
Right.
Well, and I don't think that's a requirement. I think that's something that Commissioner Hudak brought up. And I think looking at it, of course, for a couple of reasons. It gets citizens involved in their community. It makes all this less hocus pocus, another language. Once they know how government works, what's in the charter, you get people, they're going to be committed and they're going to really think this through. So I totally do support a review of the charter. And I've looked through it. I was going to just start having a group meet independently at Panera's when they weren't going to do it. I thought, well, we'll just get a group together and redline our own charter. But so I have read it just breeze through it. The one thing I will tell you, the city manager needs to live in Deerfield Beach. I'm afraid my dog's going to hit my computer. Hold on. The city manager needs to live in Deerfield Beach.
Yeah, people have been saying that for years now.
Oh my God.
I hear that all the time from everyone in my district here. Everyone says that over here.
It used to be that way, that the city manager had to live here. And then I think they changed it when Burgess Hanson was the city manager. They allowed the city manager to move outside of the city limits. But I agree with you on that as well. I think the city manager does need to live here.
And he or she will think twice about making laws that will affect everyone when they have to suffer the consequences of those laws, or not making the law, but encouraging it or bringing it forth. So yeah, I hear that all the time, Miss Shelly, and I agree with you. I believe the city manager should live here in Deerfield Beach too.
And that's only changing a couple words in the charter.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And also I wanted to ask you, because I don't know if you know, how would you feel, or would you be willing? I asked this question to your opponent too. How would you be willing to help fund the Deerfield Beach Packer Rattlers Little League football team? And I know a lot been going on with them lately, but would you be willing to make to bring financial stability, or make that organization, help that organization be more stable here in this community?
I would sponsor that proposal. Let me tell you, I was in that meeting. Shameful. The what I've heard of the Packer Rattlers is so incredible. And if there was an issue, whatever it is, it doesn't mean you just toss it away. That it just seemed to be so important to this community. And definitely we need it. What I didn't understand was why we let outside the city kids in other words, I think our kids need to come first. Mm-hmm. And then if there's room, and I don't know the whole history of how many came from different cities, but I would totally support that. Oh my gosh, that's an investment, not just in each of those children, but in the neighborhood and in our whole city. I mean, that was, I don't know what that was about, but it wasn't right.
Yeah. And I would hope that too, that the city, in supporting that the city would give them also educational programs down at the Tigner Center to, because I hear a lot of people in our district say all the community care about, and I'm talking about over here in our community, the Black community, care about is sports and not education. But I would hope that the city would find something also for the Packer Rattlers to educational wise to go along with funding them, something educational wise to go along with it too.
I love that idea. There are so many ways to incentivize learning for kids, bribery. But I mean, no, there are so many ways to engage kids in education. I'm the vice chair of the Education Advisory Board. And I got to tell you, several times I've thought of stepping down because I feel like all we are is a nice bullet point on your resume. Our hands seem to be tied no matter what we're doing. We get little direction from the city commission, although they blasted us, I don't know how many months ago. I've spoken to my commissioner and said, what can we do better? What do you want? And he says, I don't have the time or the interest. And I got you there because you know what you're doing. Just make the decisions, and so which is it? Which is it, an advisory board or, we wanted to do a fundraiser. Well, we can't accept money. So I got frustrated. I have not stepped down. I just became vice chair. It's probably doubtful I'll be reappointed after this podcast, but that's okay because you don't have to be in one place to do one thing. You can do it other places. And so the short answer are definitely yes, and not just for Packer Rattlers. There's so many other things we can do. There seems to be a tone, and it does seem to come from the mayor and some others, that the school board should pay for education. We're not the school board. They should pay for education. Well, guess what? A strong education is one of the best things we can do for this community. And if we have to invest in it, it doesn't matter whose job it is. It's our job to do the best for this community. And if assisting the education system is what's going to do it, we will do that. I mean, we can't say it's not our job and just let these schools go down to, it's terrible, the grades in our schools and the resources. Or you can't say, well, we always get the short end of the stick because we're Deerfield. They forget about us. Poor us. No, not poor us. We just need to tell them who we are. We need to know what we want to do because the people are going to tell us, and then we need to do it. And then they need to account for it. Same with the bed tax. When I talked to Santucci about it, I said, well, he said, well, because I said, can we conform the land? I tried to do all this ahead of time behind the scenes. This is a lot of reasons I'm running. And I said, can we conform our language to the Broward County Tourist? Well, blah, blah, blah. I didn't realize I was getting gaslighted at that time. I still thought everybody just didn't see the big picture. I was, rainbows and unicorns. But he said, well, we don't get that much money from tourist development tax anyway. To me, that's not an attitude of a leader, So same along the same lines.
Right, right. And the pack of rattlers is a very sensitive subject to, matter
yes,
here in District 2, because our dad spent over 25 years of his life out there as the president of the Deerfield Beach Pack of Rattlers. A lot of people know that, and Miss former Commissioner, Mayor Miss Sylvia Portier, and a host of others. Just to point out a couple of names, but the Pack of Rattlers is very sensitive here. There's a lot of history. We both played for the Deerfield Beach Pack of Rattlers, and they've been having some issues out there, and nothing major, but I think that it could, they could need
some support.
They need some support to get them back on their feet, and then once they get stabilized, they'll be okay. And also, Dr. Sherman Morris, he's one of our frequent guests on here. Dr. Sherman J. Morris, he wrote a book, Where the Field Stands Silent. It's a story of exclusive silence and the right, the letters are small, the right to reclaim our spaces. Dr. Sherman Morris talks about the Deerfield Beach Pack of Rattlers in his book, and we're going to have him on here to talk more about that. But he touched on the Deerfield Beach Pack of Rattlers and what it means to this community here in District 2. So every candidate that comes on here, I don't care if you're the mayor, you're in District 1, 2, 3, or 4, we're going to ask them about the Deerfield Beach Pack of Rattlers, because we feel that, as taxpayers here, and we pay our taxes here on time, that we don't mind seeing some of our money go towards the Deerfield Beach Pack of Rattlers. More money.
Yeah. Oh, to me, that is a strength we had in this community. I had heard about them, and it's a strength, and it has historical significance, and it does things for you and engages kids in the community. And it can, and I don't know the history of engaging business in the community, but to me, that should be something we all go around to encourage and promote and make sure it's got what it needs to be successful for those kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we also, I always hear that, people, I see people online always say that we don't care about the education of the kids. We only care about the sports.
Yes,
and I can say this here, I, for one, and me and my brother and others in this community care about the education of those kids. And that's why I said earlier that I would hope that the city can put something together to go with with the kids out at the Pack of Rattlers, something educational, some educational programs for them to go along with the sports. And that's just something I would like to see in the future. That's just something for me. But also, Miss Shelly, we have a homeless problem throughout this country. And that's serious. And the governor passed not the governor, but the legislature passed the law, and the governor signed it, where the cities now wouldn't be funded, or they can be held liable or something of that nature with the homeless if they don't arrest the homeless or make them leave or whatever. If elected as commissioner, what would you propose to help the homeless problem that we have, not just here in Deerfield Beach, but throughout this country? But mostly I'm talking about Deerfield. What would you do to speed that along? I know our sheriff did say that he will not be arresting people that's on municipal grounds. They can get arrested, but he will not be encouraging his deputies to do it. How would you feel if elected? How would you handle that problem?
Well, again, Fort Lauderdale, they have an officer dedicated to homeless that comes around. I manage a condo near Port Everglades, and it's a 17th Street Causeway area. There's a big problem there. And so they differentiate between the mentally ill that are unsafe to be around people in the neighborhood versus the people that are unhoused, right? So there's all kinds of resources for the unhoused, but if somebody is mentally ill and creating havoc or just, so they have a distinction there, and they have somebody dedicated to the homeless that are becoming, unsafe to the community. So there's we don't need to reinvent any wheels. We just need to know what other cities are doing. That library is, I don't know if you've been there, the one down near the fire station, there's a lot that sleep all along there, and they just need to be given options. I don't know about arresting them. I've got a friend who's homeless who used to stay with me every time there'd be a hurricane, this young man, and he was just an outcast. He wasn't a bad person, but he just was made fun of and couldn't work and live in shelters. So,
yeah, I see them.
You what?
I see them every morning that I walk. I never knew. I knew it was. I see in my community, I see homeless Black people, but where I walk at, I see so many people.
Yeah.
I was just telling someone yesterday, I see so many people sleeping in their cars now. At least they have somewhere to lay their head, but I did not know that problem. And some of those people talk to me, and those people work. I mean, they sleep in their car, and they're not like, they're sleeping in the car. Times are hard, and I talk to some of them like while I'm walking, and it's sad. And I know a few of them told me that the police have came and even told them that, and they're in a warehouse district, and the police told them that they can't sleep there, they can't park there and sleep, and they have nowhere else to go. So I had always said that is something I think that all cities are gonna have to deal with at some point. I know Fort Lauderdale have homeless shelters. I don't think Deerfield have any, and I don't know how the elected officials feel about something, or the residents feel about something like that coming here. I mean, that's something I think that gonna have a conversation at some point about, because I believe in helping people. I don't care who they are.
And you know what? I bet once you started noticing people in cars, now you notice a whole lot more that you never saw before, because that's how it was with me, with the homeless.
Yeah.
You see them, it's like anything. You buy a car and then you see that car all over, the same type of,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's no easy answer, but the good thing is we're a small enough community that it's not overwhelming. I think we can make inroads with that.
Right.
Yes.
And Miss Shelly, my final question for you would be is we all know about Pioneer Grove. We know what that area needs to get developed again, and right now it's not much going on over there at all. Me personally have been very outspoken. I've been an advocate for bringing an amphitheater here. And I told all of the commissioners, the mayor, I said, I'm going to keep on bringing it up because this is what we're hearing and this is what we want. So my question directly to you would be, if you're elected to District 3 Commissioner, would you be in favor of looking into the possibility of bringing an amphitheater here to Deerfield Beach, hopefully in the Pioneer Grove area or somewhere here in Deerfield Beach?
Well, first of all, not like Pompano. When we talk amphitheater, I think some people think of Pompano, and I don't see that in that spot. 100%, I love it. And I was involved in some of those workshops and the commission meetings and different things with when they were planning some ideas for Pioneer Grove. I think there's a plan for that, to be in that open area. So it would be an open area amphitheater. It wouldn't be again like Pompano, but I have seen that in some of their proposals.
Right. And I've taken pictures. I went to other cities and I've taken pictures of their amphitheaters, and it's really just a little building with a little stage in the back, up front there. And people could bring their chairs and sit in the grass. It doesn't need to be something huge like Pompano. Just a little stage area with a dressing room and a shower attached to it, and to bring it here.
You've probably seen Boca at Meisner Park. It's a
Yeah.
big open area, and they have chairs. In some events, the people, whoever's putting on the event, puts the chairs there. Other times, people bring their own chairs. So it would be, not like the big Meisner stage, but that
Right.
it is open. You don't, and then guess what? Other times when there's nothing going on, kids can play there. They can
Right.
kick balls there. They can fly
Right.
kites there. Have
Right.
picnics. Yes,
Right.
oh, it's a good time to be in Deerfield, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. That was my final question for you.
And to follow up what Daryl was saying, Miss Shelly, this will be my final, and then we'll let you go because I know you've been on here a while and you answered every question. How do you feel about a new police department or BSO station, a new city hall, and about some of the development that has been heated at times about over in the Pioneer Grove area?
So this is probably the question that everybody that's supporting that my team is saying, don't answer. And I don't know how the neighbors feel. So this is Karen Shelly parachuting here, and my name's Karen, so I think I have all the answers. But, I really, and this could be the worst idea, but my thinking is if they are planning for a train stop, maybe years away off Dixie, and there's space, why not relocate government and the police there and make the downtown? It's not like you go back to City Hall back in the early 1900s where it has to be in the middle of town. We do everything online. It doesn't need to be there. Or what about where the recycle place? I just think there's better uses for that downtown area. We could make City Hall a great place for activities or arts or whatever. I'm personally not in favor, and I'm not saying I would not vote for it, learning more information. I'm personally for moving that police station out of there, moving City Hall out of there, and making that a real place for people, and then putting government closer to trains and transportation and access for people to get there.
Yeah. When you go to other cities, it's like that. I always tell this story. Whenever me and my brother travel, we travel a lot, extensively. And when we go to the places, their public safety building and the fire department, the city hall, it's all in one nice, immaculate building. And these what some people would call hit towns. And I'm saying to myself when we're traveling, I'm like, well, if these little so-called hit towns can have a nice building like that, I'm quite sure we can. And I know a lot of people, I always say this here. We've been here all our life. Been here. I used to walk to school to Deerfield Elementary. That place looks the same up there, but to a lot of people who just came in the last maybe 25, 30 years, to them, I guess that's okay, but it's not okay to me. It's not. I mean, I'll say whatever. I mean, I would vote to tear it down or whatever, or do whatever, because I think we need something more modernized for our law enforcement people, something better like they have in I'm not saying as pricey as that, but I think they deserve more. If people so in touch with public safety, I don't know what's the big hold up for not giving them something better to work in, and a better city hall that's more accommodating to our almost 100,000 residents here in this city. Right. And that's all I wanted to say.
Well, I agree. And I think we get a new city manager from another area that is not part of, seeing this place with the same eyes and the same ideas. I think we could get some good ideas and make some real change here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And LaWanda Pack said Deerfield Beach needs more of the arts, theater, and museums.
Yes.
So, yeah. I definitely, I'm in favor of all of that. I think we need more. I was talking to all the elected officials, and I tell them it's things like the arts, the theater, the museums, and entertainment is what sports is what brings people together.
It does. And look how many little art things and stuff we could have at City Hall. You remember Sunrise, that they have that whole art serve. That used to be a library, I think. That City Hall's an incredible building, but if we moved it out and kept that building for some of what you're talking about, the murals that some towns have. I mean, there's so much we could do. If the people all get involved and help create the ideas, right?
Yes. All right. Yeah. All right. So you got any more questions before I close out? Okay.
Thank you, Miss Shelly.
And we're gonna give you 2 minutes to look into that camera, Miss Shelly, and to tell the people, the voters out in District 3 why they should elect you. You know what? I'll give you 3 minutes. Okay, I'll give you 3 minutes. I'll give you another minute. You have 3 minutes to tell the voters out in District 3 why they should elect you as the next District 3 commissioner. 3 minutes.
Thank you. And I hardly looked at my notes. So the reason I would like them to elect me or vote for me is because I have the experience. I have the life experience, the professional experience. But even more than that, I have the enthusiasm for this city. I don't know where we can go, but I think together I know we can come up with the right ideas. Nobody's going to agree with everything, but nobody likes to not be considered in decision-making process. And I think that's something I would bring in addition to my skills and knowledge, is I'd be the example of that. And I would encourage people to get involved in government. They don't have to come sit 4 hours at a commission meeting, but there are so many ways to get involved, to be part of the process. And once you have buy-in of the public, you know, we're limitless in what we can do.
Okay.
Mic
Thank
drop.
you.
Right.
Thank you. We've been joined by District 3 candidate, Miss Karen Shelly, and she's always a pleasure to talk to. My mom said she enjoyed talking to you when she saw you at the State of the City.
Yes.
My mom and my dad said that.
Right.
They said you're a very nice person. So I just wanted to pass that word on to you.
We'll tell them hello.
Well, good luck to you, Miss Shelly, and we look forward to talking to you. And then if you win, we want to see you back here on this podcast. So you're always welcome to come back here and talk to us.
And we like for everyone who, I mean, if you want to, we would like to get you even to come back for about 15, 20 minutes before the election so we can introduce you to the people before the election. We're giving all the candidates a chance to come back right before the election and just, hey, we're not going to keep you like this. Just ask you some whatever, say what you want to say. Again, right before the election, the invitation is open to you.
Well, thank you so much. And you perform such a public service yourself with this podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've been joined here by Ms. Karen Shelly. She's a candidate for District 3 Commissioner here in the beautiful city of Deerfield Beach. Thank you for stopping by to talk to us and talking to the people here in Deerfield Beach and the voters. Good luck to you in March. When is the election? March
11th. And I want to just remind everybody, if you are a mail-in voter, you can't, this doesn't come automatically anymore. So after this last election, now you will no longer get a mail-in ballot unless you contact the supervisor of elections and put your name in again. So all the voters don't assume it's like it used to be. You will not get another mail-in ballot unless you request one again. March 11th.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
That's some good information. March 11th, Miss Karen Shelly is asking you for her vote. Your vote out in District 3.
In person or mail-in.
In person or in mail, by mail. Karen Shelly, thank you for joining us. Good luck to you, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
You all stay with us. We're going to come back with a pop-up podcast here for about 15, 20 minutes. Stay tuned.